Down in the state of California, correct?
That's right. Well, good morning. Cool. It's great to see everybody again today. It's Tuesday, and it's Coffee with a Farmer. Today, we actually have a real live farmer with us. His name is Blake Carlson, and I'm going to introduce you to him in just a bit. But first of all, I want to make sure you guys know who we are, all of us on the screen. Which I realized that I did not introduce people yesterday, and I apologize for that. I'm Mary Kimball. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Land-Based Learning, and I've been the Executive Director really since we kind of started as an organization back in 1998, which is shocking that it's been that long, and it's super exciting to have all of you students join us again. Today we're going to be talking to a peach farmer. So I'm going to have all of the staff around the state introduce themselves, and I'm also going to have them answer the question, what's your favorite way of eating peaches? So I will answer that question by saying I love them best when they are straight off the tree, even a little bit warm on a hot day, and you're just biting into it and juices are running down your face, and it's super messy, but they're just so good, and especially when it's the first one of the season. So we'll flip it over to the coordinators and go ahead and start from north to south.
Perfect. I'm Dana Baker, and I'm the Tehama County Farms Leadership Coordinator. I actually live in Red Bluff, so that's where I'm at today. And I love my peaches fresh off the tree. We have lots of local peaches straight from the fruit stand. I also absolutely love homemade peach ice cream. So I'd say there's fresh off the tree or in some homemade peach ice cream. So thanks for joining us.
Okay, next up, Joseph, you're next.
Is that me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Good morning. My name is Joseph Montoya. I am the Farms Leadership Coordinator for the Sacramento Valley, San Joaquin Valley, and North State. I live in Sacramento, and my favorite way of eating peaches is cobbler. I love a good peach cobbler.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. That's a good one. Katie, you're up. Unmute yourself.
Good morning. My name is Katie Wortman. I am the coordinator in the Central Valley, so that comprises of Madera, Fresno, Kings, and Tulare County. I'm currently live in Fresno, and that's where I'm coming from today. My favorite part of eating peaches is they have to be peeled. I'm not a fan of the fuzz, but fresh, cooked, I like really warm over with some vanilla ice cream over would be fantastic. So thank you for being here today, and I'm very excited.
My name is Romy Wortman. I'm the Kern County Farms Coordinator. I'm here in Bakersfield, and I would say my favorite is fresh off the tree, or like Joseph said, peach cobbler is my favorite.
Thanks, Romy.
Hi, I'm Ladi Hernandez, and I am from Monterey. I do the Monterey and Santa Cruz County Farms Program. My favorite way to eat peaches is in a cobbler.
I think we have a consensus on the cobbler. That's awesome. All right, Blake. Well, I met Blake in 2001 because we were together in the California Agriculture Leadership Program class 32, which seems like a long time ago now. And it's really my pleasure to have him here today to talk about his operation, which is B&L Farms. Is that correct, Blake? Do I have that right? B&L Farms?
Yeah, Blake and Lisa, that's my wife.
Blake and Lisa, that's right. Okay, so you know what? Why don't you just take it from here? Talk a little bit about yourself and your family's operation and what you do there in Kingsburg.
Okay, so thank you. Love reaching out with kids and doing stuff with kids. So my name's Blake Carlson. I'm 57. Started farming in 1985. My parents bought a farm I was 8. My dad was not a farmer by trade. He was an insurance broker. I fell in love with the farm, and my brothers went into insurance and I went into agriculture. Peaches are what we do around here. Peaches, plums, nectarines, table grapes. We're pretty diversified. Met my wife in 1985, got married, and have 2 kids. And I started farming, leasing ground. I leased about 100 acres in 1985. And today we farm about 700 acres. So it's been good to us. It's been a blessing, and it's been a pure joy. My favorite way to eat a peach is about 8 o'clock in the morning, right off the tree. It's still got the morning chill to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And the fuzz comes off easy. So,
that's right. He can teach you, Katie, how to get that fuzz off.
There you go. So yes, as Mary said, we met in 2001 through Ag Leadership. And if you remember that was the same year that the airplanes hit the towers, was when we were accepted. So we kind of had a rocky class. Very interesting. I think we were all young and emotional at that time with the world events. And then we went on a international trip, which I was not able to partake in. I was in the middle of building a peach packing facility. And that was the year SARS broke out. Ironically enough, that same facility I have expanded 10,000 square feet to in the last 2 weeks, and completely gutted machinery.
Oh, we lost you, Blake. We lost you, Blake.
It'll come back.
Oh, there we go.
I know my phone rang. I will turn it off right now.
Yeah, a little technology.
Yeah, I'm on my iPad. So ironically enough, that facility has been completely gutted, and I'm putting in brand new machinery as we speak.
Wow.
Ironically, we are dealing with COVID-19.
Yes.
So as of now, I'm saying I will no longer build a packing shed, because every time I do it, we seem to have a pandemic.
There might be a cause and effect relationship.
It's absolutely,
I'm a little concerned myself.
Right.
We'll check in with you on the next one. Well, that's actually one of the things I wanted to start with is I know that even since I've known you since 2001, that your operation has changed a lot. But I wanted to kind of take us through the seasons. You both grow, you obviously process, you ship. So what kind of happens in your operation at different times of year? So we can start with right now. What's going on right now on the farming side, and what's going on right now on the processing or in the shipper side?
Right. So if you want to get into the growing part of it, peach growing, basically, once you plant a tree and raise a tree, then it's all about thinning the tree. So in December and January, we prune, which they call pruning. It's actually thinning. You're removing shoots, so you reduce the crop. You're constantly reducing the crop. The last week we started hand thinning, where got hundreds of people out there right now reducing the crop load from about 4,000 pieces of fruit to the tree down to about 800.
Wow.
It's very labor intensive. That's the hardest part about stone fruits, and that's why you find them so pricey in the store. Costs about, in today's world, it costs you about $12,000 to $13,000 an acre to get a peach to market.
Wow.
So it's not a cheap process. We're also controlling pests. We use a lot of mating disruption. We are not certified organic, primarily because I don't believe in it. It's not what it was intended to be. When organics first, in my opinion, okay, when organics first came out, it was the true organic farmer, and he did not spray. He just planted fruit, irrigated fruit, mowed his weeds or dissed his weeds. Since organics came out, I'd say in the last 10 years, corporate pesticide manufacturers have gotten a hold of it, and they have hundreds of certified organic material, which is very similar to what I use today. What I don't like about the term organic, my opinion again, is that it's misleading. My wife and I do farmers markets along the Central Coast, and a lot of people will engage in that discussion, and their perception of organic is it's not sprayed, and that is a falsehood.
It's, you know, I'm with you, Blake. It's my biggest pet peeve is so many people think that organic means no chemicals or no, you know,
right.
Completely not the case at all. There's lots of chemicals that are approved, over 400 different chemicals approved
right.
for production. So you're right. It is one of those things that I think all of us, including all of us here, that we constantly are working on that educational piece of what does organic mean. And, you know, we really appreciate your perspective on that.
Yeah. And a lot of my good organic friends that were true organic are out of business because of that, because it was a lifestyle for them, not a business. But business is business. So we farm, we use a lot of pheromones. We do use a lot of, quote, certified organic products, but we do not market under the organic label mainly because of my personal belief on that. While we could probably make more money if we went that route.
Sure.
So we're thinning, and in about 30 days, we'll begin to harvest.
Wow, starting that early. Okay, 30 days.
Yeah, so we'll start about May 1st, and we'll go all the way to about September 15th.
Okay.
When I started back in 1985, there was probably about 7 or 8 varieties of peaches and about 6 or 7 varieties of nectarines. And today we probably have over 250 of each.
Whew.
So
yeah, a little different.
Yeah, and there's been some great plant breeders, and we have some great commodities out there now and varieties, and so it's been good.
So tell me about your labor force. This year's group of students in the Farms Advanced program is studying labor, and I remember, Blake, coming to visit your previous version of your packing shed. And I remember men and women there that had been working for you from the beginning, and that you were so proud of really that it was this family, and that you had folks that came on seasonally, you have folks that work year round. So what does that look like today? You talked about the thinners, and you know, so what kind of numbers are we talking about throughout the year, and how do you maintain access and work with your labor force? What kinds of things do you do for them that maybe people don't realize that farmers do?
Still have very much the same labor force. We've aged together. Which is a bit of an issue. Many of them are my age, or some are older, some are a little bit younger. We do have some young people. Actually see more young people this year than in years past, probably because of this COVID-19. Because kids their parents are saying, hey, you don't need to sit at home, let's go to work. And I don't blame them. You can work in ag. We are considered essential. My packing shed is very much the same people. On the farm, we probably have about a 40% turnover rate from year to year. It's difficult now. They've got the border down pretty tight. Yes, are they illegal? Yeah, they're illegal. Not all of them. A lot of them are still working under Reagan's amnesty. And so that's a good thing. The ones that are illegal are pretty much tied up at the border. It's hard to get across right now. It'll be interesting how things transition here in the next few years. There's a lot of politics that go on, and a lot of farmers are worried. I was just reading an article this morning, CNN Business. Just labor across the country, H2A program. The guys are really concerned there's going to be enough labor force because H2A was shut down for a while. And I know a lot of guys, you cannot get a visa. A lot of workers would get a visa and come into the States and work for 2 months and go back. That's not the way you're supposed to do it, because visas are travel visas, not work visas. But they've stopped all visas. So will we have enough labor force? I think so, but we won't know for another couple weeks how it all plays out.
Yeah. So there actually, one of the students, Blake, has a question. Kaylee Ann, she is, well, I'll let her introduce herself. Letty will actually unmute her, and then that way she can ask you her question, which is particularly, it's right on with this particular line of discussion that we're having. So I want to have her ask this question of you.
All right.
Go ahead, Kaylee Ann.
Hi.
Hi.
So I am Kaylee. I go to the University of Arizona, and I'm in the Young Farmers and Ranchers Club, which is through Farm Bureau. And for this year's discussion meet, one of our questions regarded labor shortages within agriculture. So working in an industry that is so labor intensive, do you struggle with finding farm labor? And if you do, what do you think legislation could do in order to help you? I know you kind of answered some of this, talking about the H-2As and your labor force kind of growing with you. But what do you think that our legislation could do in order to help solve this labor shortage coming from a farmer's perspective?
Yeah, so for me, it's simple. The Bracero program worked really well. The reason the Bracero program has a bad name, it wasn't because of the United States per se, but so the Bracero program was, everybody was off to war. The women went to work in the factories, and there was nobody left on the farm. So they implemented the Bracero program. Bracero program, they brought workers in from across the border, and they said, okay, you come work. Just use an example. We'll pay you $2 and we'll have 50 cents waiting at the border when you go back. Pretty good program. Everybody had a green card. It worked. Problem was, when the United States gave that 50 cents to the Mexican government didn't give to the Braceros. So the United States made good by that about 10 years ago and compensated Braceros for that loss. I think that same program could work. I think there's a lot of people across the border would like to come work in the farms, make a pretty good wage, come work for 2 or 3 months and go back. I don't think it's as complicated as they make it. I think there's a lot of politics involved in it.
Thank you, Blake.
Did that answer? Yeah.
It's a hornet's nest, right? I mean, and it has been going on for a long time. I remember when we were in ag leadership, and before that we were talking about it. There hasn't been an amnesty since the 80s. To your point about the aging, I've seen some recent numbers from UC Davis, and Kaylee, you may want to take a look at this. I can't remember the name of the faculty, but we can get it to you. He's done some pretty extensive research on the farm workers in California specifically. But the average age, similar, like you said, Blake, to yourself, the average age has gone way up. Very few younger folks are coming in to be farm workers. And there's just there's more and more competition, of course, with other kinds of businesses as well. So it just continues to get more and more of a concern for our food supply, about how we are making sure that we have the kind of labor force we need, and that those folks can have a lot more freedom and quite honestly be able to receive the things that they are paying into, right? I mean, they're paying into a lot of taxes and Social Security, all these things, and they're never able to see that. So it is, unfortunately, we continue to pass it on down the road, and all that happens is it's more and more complicated as a result.
Yeah.
So,
I don't fully understand the politics behind it.
Yeah.
Reagan did a great thing, but he fell short.
Mm-hmm.
He got the people that were here legalized, but then he didn't fall short with a good immigration plan. And if he'd have done that,
yes,
he'd have done that, it had been successful, and why he didn't follow through, there's got to be a big political ball that someone's not talking about, because I've been on ag groups where we have fought diligently for some sort of a worker program and for 25 years, and nothing seems to come to fruition.
Yeah.
So
It's very true. So we'll shift gears a little bit. We'll talk about what I wanted to see is with your new processing facility. Is there, speaking back to labor a little bit, but is there more technology involved? Are there different kinds of jobs? Do you have more automation, so actually a need for less labor there? What kinds of changes have you made, like besides just making it bigger, which I'm sure is necessary?
The goal is a lot more automation. It's relatively new. Keep in mind, automation, let's go technology, not automation. So let's go technology really is just now starting to get into ag. So what the incentive is driving that, I don't know if they're getting government kickbacks, but it seemed like Silicon Valley had kind of gone off and done their own thing. But now technology is starting to step back into the ag world with irrigation monitoring, and in the packaging of food processing. So the sorter that I'm putting in, I used to have a sizer, which sized the fruit by weight. Now I have a sorter that will eliminate defects by camera. Hopefully we'll improve our efficiency. They say 40%. I'll be tickled if I get 20%, all reducing labor, and hopefully delivering the consumer a better product. So the problem with ag and technology is ag doesn't have the dollars that the Silicon Valley has. So it's really hard to afford all that stuff.
Yeah. And you felt the need to do that because of, like you said, the reduction of labor, or
so
what were some of the reasons you decided to go that way?
For every action, there's a reaction. So Governor Brown came out and said, hey, we're going to go to $15 an hour. That was a huge jump by 2022. That's a huge jump in a short period of time. So keep in mind, and I think it was we went from $5.25 to $8.50 in what we thought back then was a short period of time, but it was nothing compared to going from $9 to $15 in this window. And so ag has to stay competitive somehow. So that jump that he initiated took my cost from the packing shed, increased it $100,000 a year for every dollar increase. So when you start thinking about that, okay, that's a $500,000 a year increase over that window. I can take that $500,000 a year, put it towards technology, be more innovative, hopefully deliver a better product. That's what drove it. If I can reduce the number of bodies in my packing house from 65 to 45, that's a huge savings over time.
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately, it eliminates jobs.
Yeah. Do you have new jobs as a result? Are there different jobs now than there were before 5 years ago? So what kinds of things are new or different?
So now you have to have younger people that are more technology advanced than I, because I don't need to know. I don't need to know how it goes. I just want it to go. But you can get a 30-year-old that pretty knows how this stuff runs and how it functions much better than I do.
Right.
So there will be some higher end people.
Right. And how are you recruiting those folks, Blake? What kinds of ways are you utilizing to attract kind of that younger worker that may not realize that those kinds of jobs exist at your packing shed? What kinds of things do you do?
A lot of them are just love on the kids. So you grab them when they're young, they're in high school. So, like right now we're going to try an experiment program. We're getting parents to sign a waiver, and we're allowing high school age kids to come out and thin trees while they're cooped up at home. Work 4 hours, 7 to 11, go home, do your homework, do this 5 days a week. You're making $13 an hour. You at least get out of the house for 4 hours. Some of those kids I'll ask them to come work in the packing shed for me.
Great.
You build a relationship. They go off to school. A lot of kids, even though we are a smaller world now, a lot of kids will stick around the area and say, I really don't want to be a tractor driver, but I really like technology. I'd love to, do this type of work. So you kind of grab them and you see them where they're at, and
Yes.
put them where they're going to advance and excel.
Well, we like to hear that, Blake, because that's what we do. We run our high school education programs around the state, and one of the things that our goal is to connect these young people with the local opportunities, again, that they may not even know exist. And that includes job shadows and internships. And in this case, it's obviously, and our goal is paid internships, and that's exactly what you're talking about. So, Katie, you might have some folks in your area that might be interested in Blake's new internship program.
My ears perked up. Yes, I have a few students in mind. So
yeah, so it's an experiment for us. I grabbed a young, she's my age. She works with the ag group all the time, and she doesn't have a job right now. And these students can't go to school. So I said, why don't you go get 12 ag students that you can herd, because it's going to be like herding cats, and we'll get a waiver. The parents to sign a waiver. They have to provide their transportation, because a lot of parents aren't working right now. And you know what? We'll put them to work on the farm, and it's just 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Come at 7. We don't have to worry about a lunch break. You're going to work for 2 hours. You're going to take a break, go back to work. 11 o'clock, you go home. But it's an experiment, and we'll see. I hope it, our message to the kids is we want a commitment, and we'll teach you how to work, and we'll make you proud of what you're doing, and you are feeding America right now.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a great way to close out today, because with everything going on with COVID-19 and what we're seeing, not just in this country, but around the world, the connection to food and that food supply and the supply chain is more important than ever. I really applaud you, Blake, for thinking about how to get the students involved in your farm operation and connecting them with the kind of the jobs of the future. Because yes, there's the thinning, and that's what you need right now. But to your point, there's a whole lot of new jobs that you have within your packing shed that people don't even realize exist, and that there's a high level of technology and a high level, very, very different kinds of jobs. And so thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for obviously producing amazing stone fruit that we can, where would we find your stone fruit? I know a lot of time in the past, we used to talk about a lot of it was canned, and you used to get on a rant, and I appreciate it, about how great canned peaches are, and why don't we eat more canned peaches? They're so good for you. So a lot of your products still go to canning, or what do you?
Very little.
Okay.
Primarily fresh this year. So
fresh.
Today.
Wow.
Look for the license plates in Costco. It says I am ripe. That's the biggie.
I am ripe. Okay.
Yep. And we're pretty thick in Save Mart as summer ripe.
Okay.
Yeah. And canning wise.
Okay. So everybody listening, I am
canning
ripe.
Wise, I would encourage you to can your own.
I know. I think about,
it's fun.
That's what we did growing up, and my grandma was eating grandma's peaches or our peaches throughout the winter. But you're absolutely right. Canning your own is the best way to go.
Oh, you
can't do that.
You know what? It's really, my wife and I did some this year to teach the kids, and it was an absolute hoot. Hadn't done it in years, and you'd be surprised how 20 pounds of peaches go. I mean, you make these jars up and they last you all winter long. You don't have to have, anyhow, it was a fun project. And when you hit a deal like this, you know what, you got your own product and you know what went into it.
That's right.
So
that's right. Well, thank you, Blake. We hit our half an hour. That went quick. Coffee with
Thank
Farmer.
you, Mary.
Thank you so much. And we're going to be posting these live. They're recorded, and then we're going to put them on our YouTube channel. So we'll be posting them on our Facebook and social media and our webpage. So you can also share it with other folks if you're interested. We'll get you that link. And to all of the students, of course, you can send it to other people as well if you're interested in sharing this conversation. And we hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking, Blake, you'll appreciate this. We're going to be talking to Deanna Van Claveren.
There you go.
Another member of our Class 32 Ag Leadership Program, and she's with Generation Growers in Turlock. Her family has a large nursery operation. They sell mostly wholesale to other nurseries. And she's got a very different, a completely different type of agricultural production, and it'll be really fun to talk to her. She used to also be an ag teacher, so she's got that background as well, and we look forward to talking with her tomorrow. Thanks, Blake. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you, Mary. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.